we're going to be doing a race analysis of a 200-yard breaststroke. This race is from last spring in Orlando at NCSA's. The swimmer we're going to be looking at is up here in lane 5 with the white cap. The video is a little grainy, so we're probably not going to be able to see some of the finer details, but we will be able to see some bigger picture items that we're going to talk about before we go into the metrics of everything. So let's just jump right into this and take a look at the swim. Okay, entry was pretty clean. Here she is right here at her breakout, one of the first ones to break out. I think her underwater time on that was about 4.8 seconds. That turn was pretty solid, pretty well timed. Okay, again, one of the first ones to pop out there. She's got a pretty good shoot forward. You can see she's kind of head-butting the water a little bit too much, just a little bit too forceful with that downward head movement. But again, a really nice aggressive shoot. From this angle, I think it probably looks like her knees are just a little too wide on her kick. You know, Misty talked about not going out with the knees on the kick. I think she's probably a little too wide, be a little bit narrower, and it looks like she might be just a little late with the kick as well. We heard Coach Mike talk today about the space between the pull and the kick and how it's important to kind of stack those two together. You also see on that turn, we're going to back it up a little bit here, this turn, she kind of enters the water on her ear instead of on the back of her head. So she's turning on the wall. Ideally, when we go straight in and out on that turn, we're landing on the back of the head instead of on the ear. Really long into that turn there. I think she probably could have made a better adjustment and probably taken one more stroke to go into that wall with just a little bit more momentum. She does make an adjustment now here on the last 325s though. As she's going into the wall, you'll see her right here shorten up and take that one more stroke that she probably needed to take on that last 25. And now she's kind of taken over on the race here, and you can see her picking up her tempo a little bit more as we come into the last turn of the race. Probably needs to get that right hand off the wall a little bit better as well. Let's go back and take a look at that real quick. Just maybe a little too long with the right hand on the wall. Okay, you can see it's her hand kind of stays in contact with the wall almost till her feet are already there. Ideally, we want to get that hand off the wall before the feet get to the wall, so there actually is a point in time where nothing is touching the wall. And if you time that well, you'll be in streamline when it's time to push off. Okay, now she's really digging here. Okay, tempo's picked up. Okay, she actually takes one more stroke on this length than she did on the previous two. Okay, which is 2 more strokes than she had taken at any point during the race. I do want to take a look at the finish a little bit, real quick. You can see she comes up and grabs the gutter on the finish. Okay, and while it didn't make the difference in this race, if you're taking the extra time to reach up into the gutter instead of going straight into the wall, you're probably losing precious hundredths of a second that could matter in a close race. Now let's take a look at these metrics, and we'll kind of watch them as the race goes on. So we'll play it here. Okay, we can kind of follow along with this green bar. It's kind of synced to every single stroke. Okay, you see her average tempo for this length was 1.4 seconds. A little long on that turn. Okay, 1.5 seconds from the time her hand hit the wall until the time her feet left the wall. Okay, we talked last week or 2 weeks ago about how we want a second or less on her turns, and as you'll see throughout this whole race, probably losing a little bit of time on turns. That turn was 1.2 seconds. Okay, pullouts have, throughout this race, we'll look at it a little bit later in the table. Her pullout time or underwater time is between 3 or 4 seconds. We mentioned during the race that she's one of the earlier ones to come up to the surface. Maybe rushed a little bit, okay, but pretty solid. There aren't any dead spots in her pullout, which is kind of what we're after. You see that really long turn again. Now her tempo is lengthened out a little bit. She's getting a little bit more distance per stroke in the middle of this race. She's at about 1.5 seconds per cycle on average. So she actually, that first 25, she was spinning a little bit, and then she settled into kind of a longer stroke. And then you'll see as we get towards the end of the race, you'll see how the numbers adjust as she starts to pick up her tempo. 1.1 seconds on that turn there. So as the race has gone on, she's actually gotten a little bit faster on her turns. We're still starting, like I said, from 1.5 seconds on that very first turn. Okay, we're starting from a place that's just too relaxed. We gotta get the feet to the wall quicker. Part of it also is what I mentioned earlier about the her right hand taking too long to get off the wall. If her hand takes that long to get off the wall, she has to wait to push off until she gets in streamline instead of already being in streamline. You can see how her stroke count increased as the race went on. We'll take a look at the table here to give us a better just one-shot view. Okay, 5 strokes, including the break or excluding the breakout stroke. 5 strokes on that first length. Okay, and then pretty consistent 7 over the course of the next 100 yards. And then with the last 3 25s, she goes 8, 8, and 9. And those are, she's making better adjustments into the wall. She's picking up her tempo and really racing the last 75 of that breaststroke. Really well put together race. If we look at the splits, she's out 30.8 and then 34.5. She's out 105.3. And then 35.1, 35.5. So she picked up tempo. She's probably bleeding a little bit too much on the fourth 50, but was able to get her hand on the wall first. We can take a better look at the pullouts here. 4.8 seconds off the dive, and then 3.1 on the last one to 3.3 seconds off of the walls otherwise, and that's pretty solid. I think Coach Mike talked about pull-out time on Monday being around 4 seconds. She's to the surface a little bit quicker than that, but she's getting to the surface with really great velocity, and that's really what the purpose of the pull-out is to get through the breakout with good speed. Here we can see just a better overview of what her turn time looked like. That first turn being 1.5 seconds. It's just too long from the time the hand hits the wall until the time the feet get off the wall. That last turn where she's really kind of digging and wants to win the race, we were able to get all the way down to 1.05. Now if we do the math, she was 8.7 seconds total on 7 turns. That's 1.7 seconds that we can potentially drop on this race without actually having to try any harder, just getting the feet to the wall and off the wall faster, and we're 214 instead of 216 low. So that's the 200 breaststroke race analysis. I hope you enjoyed it. Let us know if you saw anything in this video that you would have pointed out, and we'll see you next time.